Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's video I just wanted to quickly demonstrate how you can add wandering monsters to your mod. This is a new feature available in D2R, and it's something we took advantage of in Remodded as an example to spawn essentially loot or treasure goblins, as is an old D2 pastime by now. So you could use it for a similar methodology, or obviously something of your own nefarious design. So with all that said, as usual, if you guys are liking this kind of content, make sure you like and subscribe, helps everybody out, and definitely be sure to check out the video description below for links to our website, Discord, Patreon, and more. And with all that out of the way, let's just jump right into the meat and potatoes of what we'll be doing today. So as I kind of mentioned, since we've already set it up and remodded, I will be using that as a demonstration today. It also includes some additional benefits for showcasing it for a video, just because it has some kind of auto map icon displays and stuff like that to help things out. But anyways, with that said, there's essentially 3 files that we need to care about, so that's what I'm going to be focusing on today. In order of how complicated they are, I'm going to be starting out with Wanderingmon.txt, which is the elephant in the room and the easiest to explain. So, in typical Blizzard fashion, the column header of class is going to be the monster name. In monstats.txt, this is going to be the entry that you're going to use. And obviously, as you can see from our files here, we have several different types of goblins, and all of these are set up as wandering monster types that can spawn in different levels and stuff and give various rewards, all based on like a treasure goblin type concept. And so this is where they all get defined, and then when the game chooses a wandering monster, it's going to select something from this list. Again, you can be a little bit specific on how you want it to pick these. I'll go into that in a few minutes here, but this is the list of monsters that it's going to pull from. So again, make sure this matches monstats.txt and the actual monster you're trying to spawn, but fill this out with what you desire there. The next file I'm going to explain, which is also very simple, is Levels.txt. There's going to be a single column essentially that we care about here, and that's going to be the Mon Wander column. So once more, new to D2R, and this is going to allow you to enable or disable this wandering monster feature for this particular level. So if you have a special level that you want it on or off, because you feel it would break the immersion or ruin something else about it, whatever, then you have the ability to control that here. One special note about that is if I go ahead and do a search in our handy dandy Discord guide or data guide for that, we can see that it does have a note. If equals 1, then allow wandering monsters to spawn using Wanderingmon.txt. Yeah. But it also lets you know that this field depends on the related monden field being defined. And why that's important is we just know from looking up monden and not wasting your guys' time with it. This helps control the monster density logic for each level. So goblins also rely on monster density. And again, this is important because this means that even if a wandering monster is told to spawn, if the density is too high for the calculation to say, hey, you have room to spawn, then it still won't spawn. You will want to keep this in mind, depending on your exact density values, how you want this to be treated, in your mod, etc. That may play a role in what you decide, and it will just automatically impact a little bit how this feature is treated in general, because as you'll kind of see as we get into the demonstration portion of the video, where you explore and how monsters move around and stuff shift this density, and therefore shift whether this Wandering Monster, will be enabled and successfully allowed to spawn. But anyways, that's all it is. A 1 if you want them to spawn there, a 0 if you don't. Pretty self-explanatory. So not much else to go into there. And then the last file that we need to worry about, which is the kind of meat and potatoes of our edits here, is going to be Actinfo.txt. Once more, this text file is brand new to D2R, so everything in here you can expect to, just basically learn a little bit. So, what this is going to do is there's 5 columns we care about for wandering monsters. We have G and H. This is our wandering NPC start and wandering NPC range. So real quickly, indexes, again, if we search all this up, the data guide's great for that, actinfo.txt. Wandering NPC start uses an index to determine which wandering monster class to use when populating areas. So indexes start at 0. Because in our mod, we happen to want all 5 of our goblins to be able to spawn on any act and for any of those types, then we happen to want to start all the acts at 0. Meaning that all the acts kind of start here at Goblin Gem, the first actual index of the monsters. And again, because it's index and it's Diablo and just stuff, indexes start at 0. So that's where we want to start. Then we tell the game how many monsters forward, how many in the range we want to enable for this act. And so once more, for our particular edit, it's very simple. We want all goblins to spawn in all acts, so we want our full range of 5, again starting from 0. We want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entries, so that's how many we need to specify. Obviously, if we wanted to, for example, restrict gem goblins to Act 1 and gold goblins to Act 2 and vice versa, on and on down the list, then how we would structure Actinfo.txt is the same way. We would say, hey, for Act 2, start at index 1, for Act 3, start at index 2, etc. And then for the range, we don't want it to give it a range of 5 possible options now. Now we wanted to give it a range of 1 option, only the option I gave you at the start. And now all of these would be, let me just finish it for argument's sake, now the goblins would be restricted to each act as I've specified, or you could leave it as a kind of global option like this, and either way you can mix and match, do it how you like, but again, that's how it's choosing. It's essentially you're choosing it where to start and then the range, how many you'd like it to select from there. Once you're good on that, then you're ready to get into the kind of gist of it all, which is deciding how active you want your wandering monsters to be. So this is going to be, in a basic sense, the percent chance that they have to appear, as mentioned before, assuming that they pass the monster density check, and the game thinks that there is room for them to appear. This is going to be confusing for a lot of people, and it's not like we have the back-end code to understand the exact logic here, but I will do my best to break it down, how everything is understood, and we can kind of go from there as a community. Column S is going to be kind of your global monster population chance. So think of this as when you're loading into a level, this is going to be kind of the overall chance that this system is enabled. So obviously if this is set to 100, then the system will always, be enabled 100% of the time when you load. This will be enabled. That does not mean the monsters will always spawn as wandering monsters, because it's going to depend on this value as well, and we'll get into that in a second. But it does mean that theoretically that system is always ready to be used. And then conversely, if we set a value of 0, then it can never have wandering monsters. It has a 0% chance. And once more, we can confirm all this kind of stuff with the data guide. This is just a simple 0 to 100% chance column. Our next column here, also pretty self-explanatory. This is how many of the monster you'd like in total to be able to spawn. So obviously if I set a value of 50 here, then that means once 50 wandering monsters will have spawned, it does not matter how many I kill or how empty the level is or whatever. How many times I reload it, those monsters are not going to rejoin. Um, and then finally, we have the kind of the column that I think confuses everybody. This is the random chance column. So what this is doing is essentially like a 1 in n calculation that's saying roll a number between 1 and this value, and if it's 1, go ahead and spawn the monster, and if it's not, then go ahead and don't spawn it. So the key difference here, though, between this and kind of the global chance is this is done on like a per entry or per encounter basis. And what I mean by that is as you visit the map, monsters load in as it identifies subtiles and all this fun stuff. It is going to reevaluate this chance every single time that happens. So, unlike your kind of global chance, which is mostly like a one-time occurrence thing as you load into the level, this can occur hundreds or thousands of times, depending on how often you're exploring that level. So what that means is that you might actually want a fairly high number if you're trying to make this monster reasonably rare, because, again, it's going to happen per essentially pack spawn, if you'd like to think of that. So if you'd like to think there may be, let's say, 500 monsters on the map, but they're spread out in like 100 packs, then you're essentially going to get 100 different rerolls every single time you run around that map for this chance. So even if you set it at a 1% chance, then you're quite likely to get some wandering monsters just to run through the map because it's rolling this value so much. So I've explained a lot of numbers. It's hard to understand how this all works. So we're going to just start basically filling some stuff in. I'm going to make sure the system's enabled, so we're going to set the population chance to 100, that it's always enabled. As I mentioned, I'm going to just set the total to 50, something that's very obvious, and then we're going to set the random chance to 1, because I want it to roll a value between like 1 and 1. So essentially it's just going to spam us with wandering monsters as soon as there's density available, because it's always enabled, and the per entry roll will basically always succeed, and again we have 50 of them. So that's everything good there for demo purposes. I'm going to go ahead and start the mod here, and then we're just going to hop into Bloodmore, and we should be able to see our changes fairly obviously. So in this mod, we have automap indicators for the goblins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be running through the map, and I won't really be stopping at first because it will make more sense later, but you're going to see icons appear on the map when the monsters have spawned. So as you can see, here are some of the goblins that have appeared. These goblins and stuff don't attack in our mod, they kind of just run from you. We have them kind of set up specially for that. But anyways, so as you can see, some of these will start appearing, and then they have different icons on the map for what they are. If it's a treasure goblin, you got a little treasure chest. If it's a gem goblin, you get a gem vein. All sorts of stuff like that, right? We get the basic concept. So here we have a couple spawned already. Let's go ahead and keep running around, and I should be able to basically get them to respawn again, as I said, by just exploring those same areas over again. So now we can see here, I explored these areas previously. Obviously this was where I started, but now we can see these goblins are just flying in. Now that that density's changed, now that I've re-explored the map, I'm re-triggering this wandering monster thing, and now we can see my mini-map is actually absolutely flooded with them. Now I've basically reached my 50 cap already, because every time it was told, hey, based on density, are you allowed to spawn a wandering monster? That random chance said 1, and now I'm just absolutely swimming in my wandering monsters. So now what I'm going to go ahead and do is we're going to change this to something a little more reasonable. So let's change this to something like 500. And again, that sounds like a lot, but with how many encounters that you're going through on a map basis, you'll find out that it's actually still somewhat common. So we're going to go ahead once more. We're going to go ahead and enable our cheater stuff, and we're going to speed around the map. And we still have the same total of 50, but you're just going to notice that we don't see them nearly as often anymore. So I'm going to go ahead, we're going to do our same little loop, and as you can see so far, haven't seen any of them yet. As I start to loop back, I'll start to see some of them as my aura has killed off some, it's freed up some density, and we're re-exploring that area, so it's re-triggering the wandering monster. But once more, as of yet, I still do not have any monsters. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep running around for a little bit. Unfortunately, this is the boring part of the video, just to kind of show you a little bit about how this works. But as you can see, I finally got one here. Here's our treasure goblin. And we're going to go ahead and just keep running around, trying to, again, explore some empty areas that we've already explored, because wandering monsters do like that. And then we'll try to get 1 or 2 more to appear, just so you guys can see the, kind of default frequency at settings like this. Again, it'll random is random. It'll change a little bit depending on what level you're doing it and your densities and all that fun stuff. But this will be a casual example of kind of what you can expect for different settings. So as you can see, we're definitely not getting anywhere near that same level of just absolute, just being overrun basically by the wandering monsters. But we did just have another one spawn here, so we can see now we have 2 treasure goblins that ended up spawning. But it did take me, a minute or 2 of running around, exploring the same areas, and, mostly empty areas because they've been cleared of enemies with the aura and stuff. So we can see how drastically that per encounter measurement has reduced it. Obviously changing it from a 1 in 1 to 1 in 500 chance makes a big difference, especially when kind of funny, we're getting a treasure goblin pack over here. So we got another treasure goblin spawned. It is random, but you will have stuff like that, and here's a gem vein one that spawned. So again, we can start to see now a little bit about how that density works. So to find something in the middle, obviously if we did, I don't know, a value like 50, then we should see it much more frequently. Basically, every small trip up or down I do, I should see, a goblin spawn, and that will be more or less right what we expect. So again, it's like a 2% chance or whatever every time you encounter a density spawnable area that would occur. And so, as is typical, I didn't get anything on my first go around, but as I start going back through the stuff, now we can see all the goblins start to appear again. And again, you will usually want higher numbers because it is misleading how often you're triggering that chance roll just by our nature. As you can see, even with 50, they're actually quite readily available. Not quite as bad as with 1, obviously, but yeah, there's still definitely no shortage of them as they start to become available. And again, this will be how wandering monsters work, essentially. So this is all you really need to control it. I just wanted to help explain some of the intricacies of it, explain how you can take advantage of it and whatnot. But it's essentially coming down to how you want to take advantage of these columns to make it as active or inactive as you want it to. Obviously, what totals and stuff you want to provide it, what monsters you've allowed to spawn, and what special perks or whatever they have that make this system worth it, and then obviously what levels and stuff that you want to enable them on, so that you can find these wandering monsters wherever you've specified. But again, this is basically all new to D2R, so there isn't much info on it other than this guide and the data guide that Blizzard provided. This is just done through user error and obviously our own pioneering of it and stuff like that. But yeah, so just take it all with a grain of salt on that regard. But I hope this has been a good explainer tutorial on how you could take advantage of this new system in your mod. Thanks for sticking around to the end. Have a great day. Bye.